Aaron Tuttle here for Ferguson Roof Systems. For 43 years, Ferguson Roof Systems has been protecting Oklahoma's homes and businesses with quality roofing services. Their goal was to be the most honest and dependable roofing company in the state, all while providing free services such as lifetime labor warranty and annual inspections. Well, mission accomplished with thousands of client testimonials, an A+ Better Business Bureau rating, and a 5-star rating on Google. Look, the weather gives you enough to worry about, so why worry about who to trust with your roof? Call Ferguson Roof Systems today or find out more at fergusonroofsystems.com.
Joe says it's the highlight of my night. Thanks, Joe. Well, so thanks for joining me. I'm Meteorologist Aaron Tuttle. It is time to get crack-a-lackin'. We've got some interesting weather to talk about, of course. And I'm glad you're here. We're going to try to get through it as quickly as possible, but you know me, I can be a little long-winded at times. But hey, it's for, the good. I see you tonight, Carrie, sending me some stars already. Kimberly also in the house. Both of you ladies on a 2-week streak, so thank you for that. If you'd like to send me some stars, just hit the bottom button. Jared is already sending to him because he says the forecasters down in Dallas-Fort Worth need it. He lives in Dallas, and he's always wanting some winter weather down there. So I'm going to send you some, but it's not going to be kind that you like. I'm going to be sending you some ice there, brother. That's a bad news, though, for the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex because all those bridges and overpasses. That's a nightmare. But that's what's going to be happening down in that part of the country. And then, of course, in our own neck of the woods here in Oklahoma, we're going to have plenty of ice around here as well. And it's already starting. I stepped outside just to make sure that my radar wasn't lying to me. And sure enough, there's a very fine mist on going out there. So without further ado, by the way, thank you again for Jarrett Wimpy. I see you, brother. Bring it. I don't know, man. I'm going to try to bring you some snow in Rockwall next week, say around, I think Wednesday maybe it is. But until then, I think you're going to get stuck with some ice. But we'll see what happens. We'll deal with that here in a second. So there we go. Okay, so let's head on into the maps and tell you what you need to know. First up, here's a look at the radar view here over central Oklahoma. And you see these little pink things. That's the reports from the ping system, which says this was snow or grapple and also freezing drizzle that are coming in. These are all just coming in the last few minutes. And the airport observations do say mist, overcast, foggy. So basically we've got, freezing fog, freezing rain in the light variety. In other words, more of a mist, so freezing drizzle. Continues with a northeast wind around 10 miles per hour to 15 miles per hour at times. And then you've got temperatures about 19 to 20 degrees. So that kind of stuff, just like insta-freeze once that precipitation gets heavy enough to hit the surface. So keep that in mind if you're traveling out there tonight. Here's a bigger look at that across the state. And also what you can see in this green shading is a winter weather advisory, which continues all the way up from northeast Oklahoma through Tulsa, through Oklahoma City, back into southwest Oklahoma, everything in green. On even down to Dallas-Fort Worth. It covers Tarrant County, not Dallas County, but hey, too close to call down there. And then up here in northeast Oklahoma into southwestern Missouri, again, more of the same. And this little yellow color is a winter storm watch. It extends on eastward into Arkansas. So there's going to be a lot of ice developing once you head out from Little Rock to Memphis. Onward we go to Bowling Green with an ice storm warning in effect for that area. So ice storm warning means they're going to have significant amounts of icing accumulations on elevated surfaces, bridges, overpasses, power lines, trees, etc., which indicates a lot of power outage potential. We don't have that here in Oklahoma, thank goodness, this time around, but we do have enough to cause road nightmares. So let's get on with it and see what we got next here for you. First thing I want to bring up is, not that, the Weather Service put out just a close-up view of that freezing drizzle and freezing rain event for tonight. Heavier amounts once you head down toward Ardmore, Ada, Durant. Very, very light stuff here expected in central Oklahoma, but definitely we're going to be seeing some of that nonsense. Now here's a look at the sounding that launched from Norman this evening. You see these green and red lines together? That means saturation all the way up to 1,000 meters above the surface at 850 millibars, and that extends all the way down to we have a dew point of 21 over 20, which means we are flat out saturated. I'm going to put this phone on mute, by the way, because last time I got a telemarketer call during the live. Boy, was that irritating. Anyway, so this pattern, unfortunately, we're stuck with for a while. It's just one of those dreary deals. And of course, the forecast sounding does say, well, it's just off the page here, but it does say freezing rain and drizzle. Let me get that on there for you. There you go. So that's what it looks like in the atmosphere when you look at a balloon sounding. Now, when we look at the bigger picture across the southern plains, this little stuff right here is just light snow coming in the mid-levels of the atmosphere. So some of this may be reaching the ground as some light flurries. Don't expect much out of it. But all these other little radar sites we have on a mosaic indicates the development of freezing drizzle, where the echoes are getting a little more intense and more widespread. So that is the development of more freezing drizzle here for tonight across the area. And you can even look at that at the overall surface map. Everywhere you see these little equal signs, that means freezing fog and freezing drizzle. With these little tildes too, and those are temperatures obviously in the teens and 20s, so everything's going to be frozen. When you get down to Dallas-Fort Worth, you're right at the cusp. You're right between 30 and 33 degrees between the southeast side of town and the north and west side of town. So you guys are going to have some trouble overnight tonight in the morning in the Dallas-Fort Worth metro area, so keep that in mind for your morning commute. Spread the word. Here across Oklahoma, of course, a lot of our wind anemometer readings have frozen up, but you can see temperatures in the top in the red are all into the teens and 20s out there across the state. Even far southeast Oklahoma, getting a taste of the winter stuff. Poto, LaFleur County, they're back into the 30s, but not for long. They're also getting cold as well. If we look at the soil temperatures, the ground temperatures, they helped us out, believe it or not, for the first couple of days of this event, but no longer. Some of these are actually below freezing, so this will not help the roadways anymore. So any precipitation we get, we're done. You understand that? If it's falling out of the sky, you see it, you're done. So you're going to have to be very, very careful if you are required to go out and about. Here's a look at the road networks up there across the state tonight. Remember, you can get access to this on my website, aarontotoweather.com. Just go to the Oklahoma Road Conditions tab in the data, and you can see these yellow lines are starting to show up, and that just indicates slow go as starting to see some inclement travel conditions. Now, some of these trucker photos are going to be dark, so it'll be hard to see, but eventually you're going to find some here you can make out with some light. So there's one, you see the sheen on the road. So you can get travel updates at any point in time during this event just by going to my website and clicking on that map. And then if you want a close-up view here at Oklahoma City, for example, you can look at the metro traffic cameras. You can pull those up, and you can see how traffic's moving along when you get up early in the morning. And you can change this menu over to see Lawton and Tulsa and Purcell statewide, for example. Okay, so what is going to happen here for tonight? Well, we already have the freezing drizzle, and the models are horrible at detecting it. They always have been, always will be. But it does at least pick up some heavier echoes here on the map for southeast Oklahoma, just south of Tulsa down to Ardmore, and then back into the northwest side of Dallas-Fort Worth. So at least it's picking that heavier stuff up, just not getting the light stuff that we're already seeing now. But it does blossom overnight tonight into tomorrow morning, so the models do finally kind of catch on and do kind of get it going here in central Oklahoma at Tulsa. So that's all that little echoes you see here on the map in the middle. As we head on into time from the morning hours, it expands, gets a little heavier at times. See all that bright colors on the screen. As we head into, let's see, here's mid-morning to late morning. It does start to taper off a little bit by noon as far as the heavy stuff goes. Can't rule out still some gradual patchy areas of drizzle through the afternoon, but the majority of the heavy stuff will be over with. And then, by the way, you can see going in Dallas-Fort Worth down here on the south end of this picture, which is basically right here in this little section here. They're in the freezing rain area as we go throughout this event as well. I'll leave them circled. And you can see how that freezing drizzle just kind of, and freezing rain kind of keeps running over that area. This is Wednesday night and a Thursday morning. So that's really their big trouble spot into that North Texas region. Southeast Oklahoma gets both systems pretty good. And then eventually here, that'll move on out by Thursday. I believe that was afternoon. Let me go back and look at the exiting time on that. So yeah, about Thursday afternoon, that should pretty much be out as far as anything heavy is concerned. And part of the issue here for tonight is we have frontal genesis ongoing at 850 millibars. So I'm going to put this into motion for you here. And what that is, this little highlighted area here circled on the map. You see stretching from the Panhandle into the northeast Tulsa and everywhere in between. That's why we're going to see a lot of additional freezing drizzle developing and blossoming tonight and getting heavy at times, even here over central Oklahoma. So long as that extra lift is in the atmosphere, that's what's going to cause that heavier round of freezing drizzle. And you can see these contours continue. This is up through lunchtime. And then they start to diminish, and then we get some sinking air coming in behind it, but that'll kind of dry things out, the little blue area. But that's kind of the mechanism right now as far as precipitation accumulating. Now, if we look at the amounts, the models will try to do okay. They won't be great, but they'll give at least their best shot. And they're up to maybe a quarter to half inch of ice around the Dallas-Fort Worth area into parts of northeast Texas and far southeast Oklahoma. And then, of course, in Arkansas and stuff points from there. And that's why they have the ice storm warning because precipitation expected to get heavier. Tulsa area, you're looking at about a tenth of an inch or so. Same thing for Oklahoma City. Trust me, that's plenty. You don't need even more than a hundredth. And we got, 10 times that. And you can see there are some light echoes across western Oklahoma and even a little bit across north patchy areas. So even though you guys aren't going to see much out of this system, you might see just enough to cause some slippery trouble out there on the roadways. So just be extra careful when you head out. Black ice is no fun. If we look at the overall forecast for peaks of the black ice and freezing drizzle event, it's tonight to tomorrow morning through lunchtime. And then as we head to tomorrow night into Thursday morning, even a bigger peak, a bigger signal. This is in Oklahoma City. And if you focus your attention way down here toward the 13th, you know what this is? That's a big snow signal starting to show up in the data. And we're going to show you that too because the models continue to crank up the upcoming storm for this weekend, and they're gung-ho at producing quite a bit of snow with that. Now, we talk about the ice potential here over the next 3 days. All right, we'll go 3 days. I want to show you the high-res short-term model has obviously some significant accumulations here. And let me slide this over so you can see the scale. There it is right there on your right. So in the red, that's about a quarter inch of ice accumulations. That could cause some power outages there in southeast Oklahoma and in North Texas, right into just barely the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Now, that's the high-resolution short-term model. If we look at the Canadian model, it shifts things a little bit more south in several of its ensemble runs. So a lot more ice accumulation and further south during this period, and some of those are pretty nasty across Arkansas. One of the other high-res model groups, they have a nice cluster southwest of Dallas-Fort Worth and also some ice there on the north and west side of town. Some pretty good ice accumulations in the red in southeast Oklahoma, about a quarter of an inch. So most of these models keep it fairly light in Oklahoma compared to what we've seen in the past. And now let me look at, let's see, the European is an oddball. It's went weird. The European has stunk, by the way, this entire forecast period. From last week, I threw it away last week. It has a warm bias during these events. The GFS typically has a cold bias, but it's been winning out, believe it or not. The European's been just stinking it up. It's usually a go-to, but not this time around. Now, that said, it's got an interesting signal of a lot more ice potential here in central Oklahoma, starting with tonight's event. Now, this kind of worries me a little, only because it's not a bad model. They're usually pretty good, and it's the only one that says we're going to a little bit more. Now, there was a lot of lift showing up in that high-res model that the precip didn't jive with it. So this has me a little concerned. We might get a little more, but it's not I don't think it's going to be a power outage situation. It's just going to be just more mess on the roads. Is just more insult to injury. But it shifts most of that northward here in Oklahoma versus say in North Texas, and I think that's an error because it's not far south enough with the cold air. So I'm going to have to shift this south a little bit, but some of the amounts can be a little bit higher than what they originally suggested. Now, we look at the long-term ensemble runs of the American model as we go through time. I'm going to show you this chart here. This is an interesting chart. This kind of tells the whole tale. I'm going to flip through a couple of these. All right, so on the bottom axis is the time, is the date. All right, so we're looking at the 16th, the morning of the 16th. And you're like, well, what's the morning of the 16th? Well, that's going to be Tuesday. So this is just, I'm picking this as an example. And all of its runs here, if you average them out, it's a negative 1.5 degrees. But there's a huge cluster between that and negative 10 degrees for the morning temperatures. This is just how cold the model continues to indicate this extended outlook is going to be until we finally start to warm things up. So that's kind of how temperatures are going downhill in the extended outlook. Now I'm going to show you where it peaks the precipitation. The first one is going to be on the 13th. That's this Saturday, and it's producing some significant QPF. Second bound is this one in the middle. That's on the 15th, so that's Monday. And then the third one coming in is on the 17th. Now, when you transform into the precipitation type, in other words, it's going to be rain, snow, ice, what is it? It's all blue for us, which means snow. For example, let me click Dallas here real quick, and I'll go back. See how Dallas, they have this little fuchsia purple color. That's for freezing rain, and then they eventually get snow here for the 15th and 17th. But until then, they have freezing rain signal. Whereas we up here in Oklahoma City and in Tulsa, click on Tulsa. Here's Tulsa for you. See, we're in the snow signals. That's good. That means we're cold enough for snow. How much? Well, let's take a look. So this is the snowfall amounts each individual run with time all the way up through the 17th. So a collective period, averaging, taking like 50 of these runs, and it's 7 inches on the average. Some of them are as low as 2 to 3 inches. Some of them are as high as 12 to 16 to 17 inches. So where's the truth going to lie? Usually somewhere in the middle, but that's just ridiculous. All right, so that's the potential that's on the table in extended outlook. And temperature-wise, by the way, are going to be cold, as we mentioned, during this period. So from Saturday to Sunday morning, Monday morning, Tuesday morning, and then the daytime highs struggling to get into the single digits. And then maybe if we're lucky, things get better next week a little bit. But keep in mind, and I've been telling you this every broadcast here for who knows how long, these latter parts from about the 20th onward, don't trust them. We're still stuck in a cold pattern. We may get some wild swings. The models are going to have a very difficult time in the extended outlook to find out which day is warmer, which day is colder, or will it all be colder, all be mild. It's not going to have a clue. But we're going to focus here on the short term. And also, this minus 13 is assuming we have a lot of snow on the ground. If we don't have as much snow, it won't be as cold. So maybe it'll be minus 6, minus 5. I mean, what's a few degrees among friends, right? But still, brutal this weekend. You don't want to be outdoors for any length of time. We talked about this also a few times here in my lives. Once wind chill values get into the minus 20s to minus 30, we're looking at a frostbite of only about 30 minutes. So if you're unprotected skin out there for that period of time, which isn't very long, you can lose some limbs. So you don't want to do that. All right, you got to stay warm, you got to stay protected, you got to stay clothed. Let's take a look at a flat view of the model data for the snow coming up this weekend. Some of these, let's see, it's only 9 hours in. We're waiting for the new GFS to come in. And also let me show you the ice accumulations as well on a bigger view. Let's see, so we're going to do that. And then I've pretty much finished with most of what I want to say. I'll take a couple of questions and then we'll call it a night. All right, so this is the high resolution NAM model, just kind of give you an idea on possible ice accumulation. So we're looking at about 1/4 of an inch here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, a little higher once you get to Rockwall, and then points out to Paris County, and it's up around 1/2 an inch. So like I said, that's kind of a sweet spot for trouble from Dallas-Fort Worth to the north and east. And there's a secondary sweet spot southwest of town, probably about 1/4 to 1/2 inch in this little purple shading as well, out toward maybe Abilene. Now, southeast Oklahoma, this is a wild card. Most of this will be about 1/4 of an inch, but the models do favor some orographic situations of some stupid amounts. I mean, here's 6/10. Now the model's trying to be really hyper local on this. It's going to be tough if it's going to get it right, but if it does, we're looking at power outages here in eastern Oklahoma. Keep that in mind. And then, of course, you head into central Arkansas, eastward from there. We're getting up around 1 inch of ice. And that's pure ice. That's not sleet. That's the old stuff that's going to cause power outages and problems. That's why they're under an ice storm warning in that part of the country. Now, you're going, well, where's all the ice here for for Central Oklahoma and Tulsa. Aaron, what happened to that? Well, like I told you, the models don't do very good at the very light stuff. They do better at the heavier amounts. So we will fill this in with up to about 1/10 of an inch of ice, I believe, here over the period for tonight into tomorrow morning, and then the additional period of time tomorrow evening through Thursday about lunchtime. All right, so it's about through lunchtime for both days, and it's starting off in the evening both days, just like it did tonight. So that's your main window of precipitation. Okay, so now let's see. Let's talk about. I'm gonna look at this model here real quick. See if it's woken up. See if it got woke. All right, no, I didn't get woke. All right, so let's go on to. Let's see if the Canadian got woke. I'm just trying to look for a model that actually jives with reality. Sometimes it's hard, man. All right, so here's the Canadian. It's kind of a similar look to the high-res NAM. Heavier stuff, eastern Arkansas onward, and a little spot in southeast Oklahoma. Little indication here, northeast Texas and Dallas-Fort Worth. Slightly different, heavier amount south there in the hill country in central Texas. But at least it's got a little bit better gradient here from Tulsa to Oklahoma City. So it's not far off. It did a little bit better. But no model is going to be perfect in this situation. So sometimes you might want to use a blend of models that they call it from the National Weather Service, which kind of takes them all and averages a lot of them together. And it usually drops amounts quite a bit, but at least it's got a better area, overall area. This is the most likely, at least region as far as drawn on the map as to the borders of where the most of the accumulating stuff will be, even though I think amounts will be higher than this. Okay, let's see. Let's go to the snow. Tell you what, for fun, we're going to look at the European. This is why the European went nuts on the ice here in central Oklahoma. You can see it went to 1/4 inch here in Oklahoma City, and just east of us, almost a 1/2 inch. Seminole County, and then down southward toward Ada, and nothing down here in North Texas really. So that's why I think this whole thing has to get shifted southward. The amounts I think are a little overdone here if everything gets shifted southward, but just one of those deals where it's kind of an outlier. It's usually on the money. All right, let's go to snow, and we'll see how it looks like for this upcoming weekend. You already know it's going to be cold. So let's see what it does with the snowfall. So this is, let's see, Saturday. So here's Saturday event. Doesn't have much at all. Little dusting, maybe up to 1 inch. No big deal. Now, as we head into the second storm that comes in Monday, it's producing a couple of inches here in eastern Oklahoma, up to about 4 in central, and maybe out toward 5 in western Oklahoma. It's not bad. It's doable. And then what about the third system? The third system comes in, doesn't really do much on the 17th, a little bit of a dusting, so it brings up a little bit better snow totals in northwest Oklahoma. But otherwise, that's a pretty decent snow for very dry air mass that we're going to be under in the extended from that Arctic air. Arctic air is very dry, so you get really high moisture to snow conversion ratios. Something like 20-to-1, for example. Like, it's 20, you get 20 parts to 1 part is how you do that. So if you would get an inch of QPF, basically rainwater, that would convert to about 20 inches of snow. And that's crazy, right? Just because it's be real fluffy. And you can't make a snowball or snowman with it. It's just pretty to look at and kind of blows around everywhere. Now, let's take a look at the GFS American model. The 0Z run will not be in yet, so by the time we end this broadcast here in just a couple of minutes. So we'll just go to the midday run, and we'll see what it does with the snow on Saturday. So here's the first view on Saturday. This got 3 inches here in Oklahoma City, to 5 up here in northwest Oklahoma, maybe 6. Otherwise, not bad, 2 or so. Other parts of the state. All right, what about the secondary storm? That one comes in on Monday. And look at that one. That comes in with almost close to 8 inches now. We average both of them together. Pretty good amounts, pretty much all over the state, even down south into Texas, getting a little bit of snow with that secondary round. Now the third round kicks in. Oh my goodness, and the model goes off the rail. 16 inches of snow in Oklahoma City, 15 in Tulsa. Woodward's got close to 17. Now, will this verify? I don't think so. But it's, on the table for at least 3 systems to come by to produce at least some significant precipitation. I might as well, right? I mean, if it's going to do it right. Let's take a look at wind chill values, and then I'm going to turn you loose. Let's go here, because those are important. We've been talking about that for a long time. That's what's going to make this so deadly. Take the precipitation out of the equation. So the wind chills really kind of kick up on Friday, so we'll start there. So at Friday afternoon, wind chill values around 0. The northern half of the state, just slightly above on the southern half. On Saturday, with the big snowstorm coming on in, we've got wind chill values in the negative numbers, or all into the negative teens during the day on Saturday. Improve a little bit as the winds die down Saturday evening, but then they pick back up for Sunday. Wind chill values Sunday morning, and this is where we've been talking about the cold of the cold so far for this coming week. And that was on your Valentine's Day morning with wind chill values in the negative mid-20s out there. That's why I talked about that frostbite. 30 minutes, all it takes, and you'll lose a finger, toe, or nose if you're not protected. During the day, it gets a little bit better. Wind chill values will stay into the negative numbers, single digits and teens. And then we're going to repeat this whole thing on Monday, the 15th. We're looking back into the negative 20s and near 30. Does it get any better? Well, here's Monday night into Tuesday. Not really. And then here in the afternoon, there we go. We're finally starting to see a little warm up, but we still feel like we're below 0. So the nastiest stuff is going to be this weekend and the early next week, and then things are going to try to moderate. Remember I said keyword try. We're at Thursday here, and we're still got wind chill values below 0 across parts of Oklahoma. Let's try about Friday the 19th, or how about that? Do we do any better there? Yes, we do. So we'll see. Fingers crossed that all this madness comes to an end and we actually get close to freezing. Notice I said close to freezing. I haven't seen it above freezing yet in this whole period here in Oklahoma City. There we go. That's on the 23rd. Look at that. We busted through on the 23rd. It's a lovely 45 to 48 degrees. We'll see. Long term, like I said, it's going to be a mess, but hey, that'd be nice to warm back up close to 60 by the time all this mess is over with. So there you have it, folks. That is everything I can throw at you from tonight through next week. It is a lot to talk about. So these lives have been a little long-winded as a result, but I'm sure you enjoy that. I appreciate it. You can't. When I was doing television at Channel 5, I would have 3.5 minutes to try to tell you all of that. That's impossible. I mean, it's so frustrating. You just, you got to move quick. So this format, oh man, it's so much better. I get to show you everything. Get to talk about it. We get to dive into it. Get to real geek out about it. So if you want to geek out about the weather, you've come to the right place. I like to show you all the bells and whistles that I can drum up to kind of teach a little bit on the side and kind of tell you why things work the way they work, and we look at different models and why they're wrong or why they're going to be right. So it's just kind of neat, just a different approach. But this format gives me a chance to do all that. So let me look at a couple of questions, and then I am out of here. As they used to say in the old days, Audi 5000. Is that what it was? I'm trying to remember my early 20s. was it Audi 500? I don't even remember. That's how sad that is. I lost that brain cell. All right, so on YouTube, Tammy's checking in from Blair. Yes, it is cold. Jim is always in the house from Mustang. Kayla, hello from Choctaw. She's wanting some 70s to return. Samuel wants the snow. He's ready for it. Say it was Ray. Do you think the freezing rain tonight will cause school delays, closures in Wichita or Vernon? Top is Santa. You're going to have to check with the local school district on the plans for all that. Here from Yukon, good to see you, Brian. And Ashley, will the snow events be quick moving? Well, it'll be all day event for Saturday, and I think it's about a 2/3 of the day event for Monday. So I don't know if that's your definition of quick or not. And then the next one after that, I think it was Wednesday. I've lost track now. So there you go with that. Then if you are on Twitter and Periscope, if you have any questions, shoot them real quick, and I'll try to answer them real fast. Let's see. You can always follow me on any of those platforms, so either YouTube or Twitter Periscope. It'll soon be just Twitter. They're dropping the Periscope part in the spring. And then on Facebook, I've got 2 pages going there. The private group page for my patrons, and then the main page. And then I'm also adding in Gab, G-A-B. So Gab.com. I've got an account there. It's got a Gab TV section. It's a lot like YouTube, and I'll be going live there as well in the spring once they enable that feature. All right, so Alan says it looks like it's snowing here in Mustang. Yeah, we've got some of the, it's a mixture of freezing drizzle, and then sometimes when the air gets really dry, that can crystallize and form those little tiny snow grains or little crystallized flakes. It's not true snow in the sense of how snow is developed, usually aloft, but regardless, it's out there. Good evening, Carla. Good to see you, Karen. You're welcome. All right, so let me go on to, okay, let's go to the main page. I got so many things on here. Okay, mute you. Let's see, is this going? Hold on. Facebook's always changing stuff, even for me. So when I click on things, sometimes it doesn't even work. Like that just happened. Oh, I crashed it. Oh, good grief. Hold on, let me hit the refresh. I'll get there. Hold on a second. Come on, computer. All right. Let's get this thing loaded. Man, you're like a dinosaur slow. Oh, you're pathetic. There we go. All right. Pause that. Okay, Nikki says, how about driving up to Branson, Missouri Friday? Well, how about you don't? Say you did. Mark, squirrel. I have a lot of squirrels during my broadcast, in case you haven't noticed. Is it going to be slick in Edmond tomorrow? Yes, it will be. I was too busy addicted to TikTok that I just downloaded. Stop the madness, Candace. Jody wants me to get on TikTok, and we watch some of those videos. It's just, I can't foresee how to make it weather on there. It's not a good platform for me to do that kind of stuff. And then the rest of it is a lot of goofy things, and I just don't have time to be, goofy 24/7. I gotta do it in spurts. Mark wants to go kayaking tomorrow morning, please. How's it gonna look? Emily, you're not gonna like it. Becky, have an appointment tomorrow at 3 p.m. How the roads be? Probably still icy. Oh, well, the precipitation should have pretty much winded up by then, for the most part. Let's see. How confident are you about the snow happening in some form? Extremely. It's going to happen. Just the amount. Right now is just still in the amounts. So confidence is good on that. And we finally got settled on the days, because the days were kind of floating around. So that's good too. All right. How do you think driving will be from Lawton, Oklahoma City, Saturday late evening? I'm sure it'll be a joy, and you should live stream it. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, it's going to be, now the good news is, I'll tell you this. When you have a very dry, powdery snow, it blows off the road very easily, and you can drive on it a lot easier. Now, if there's some ice underneath, that doesn't really do you any good, right? So you just kind of play it by ear. Use my app and my weather site webpage, AaronTuttleWeather.com, and because both of those will have the direct app link to the road conditions page. That way you guys can always see what it's like as soon as you get up and you want to look out the door. Thursday's forecast, I missed it. Central Texas between Abilene and Waco. Yep, looks like a little icy down there. How bad will the roads be in Oklahoma City around 6 a.m.? Sam, probably bad enough to cause accidents. It is Audi 5000. Jerry, I was right. Woohoo! Phew! The brain cell's still working. How's it in Tulsa? Same idea. Gonna have some freezing drizzle tonight and tomorrow. Will I get my cross-country skis ready? You go for it. Will the roads be bad all over the state on Friday? So, Friday is a transition day, lack of moisture. So it'll just be whatever's left over from Thursday. And so I don't anticipate a lot. It'll probably just be spotty. And, some of those bridges and overpasses that aren't covered very well is my guess at this point in time. But we'll see how things play out. So if you do want to travel, Friday might be the best day. And that's, not saying much, but it's saying something. Jared said, almost had my whole school staff downloading your app. Awesome. That's what I'm talking about. AT's weather, all over the place. Every now and then you guys will check in from different parts of the country. That's pretty cool. And people use my app from all over. Got them all over the world, which is neat too. All right, Independence, Kansas in the morning. You guys in Kansas, you're not too bad. Even far northern Oklahoma, you're not in the heavy precipitation shield, so it's going to be very, very light if you get anything. The problem is it doesn't take much just to cause some slippery spots, so it could be misleading where everything's dry and you hit a little icy patch, which is probably worse than if you knew the whole thing was icy, because one way you drive slow and careful, the other way you drive like a kamikaze, and then all of a sudden you hit a spot and you're hosed. So I don't know, it's a tough call, but you'll know when you get up in the morning, check the road conditions at that point in time, but I don't expect much trouble up there. Emmanuel, will Tulsa get snow this weekend? Yes, you will. Going to Arizona on Friday, wondering about the roads west. So Emily says, you are the best to watch. Thanks, Emily. How about the roads in western Oklahoma? A little icy. Same thing there. And icy through the Texas Panhandle, because the systems, remember, and the overall track of the jet stream is coming in from the west. So if you're going to do some traveling, you're going to have to pay attention to all those roadways out west of here. And I'd love to give you an update on every single one of them, but I just don't have the time. Jody, you're so sweet. Hashtag OKC best meteorologist. My number one fan. Always pimping me out. All right, John, question. Oh, by the way, hold on a second. I got carried away. Let me go to the Twitter. Okay, nothing there. YouTube. Tammy says, thank you for all you do. You're welcome. Any tips on travel from Paul Husk at Oklahoma City Thursday evening? Dave, by then, the heavier precipitation should be over with, so maybe there'll be some improvement on the roads. Otherwise, you'll know by then not to even bother. Let's put it that way. Now, if you are driving, here's a little quick tip for ice. All right, so, and I've talked about this a few times, so if you've heard it, bear with me, it'll take a second. Now, a lot of times these situations, it's the bridges and overpasses, right, that are first, they go first, and other roads are probably decent, right? Well, that's when the ground temperatures are warm. We don't have that anymore, so this advice may not apply, but at least at the beginning of this event it did. You want to slow down before you hit what's going to be the icy patch or the probability of ice on the bridges, right? So you want to slow down long before you get to that point. So that way, if it is a solid sheet of ice, you just glide right over it. All right, you're already at a slow pace. You don't hit your brakes. You just keep your wheels straight. Don't move. Don't blink. Don't sneeze. Don't do anything, and you'll just go straight your lane over the bridge, and bam, you're right back to traction. All right, that's usually how that works. If you try to hit your brakes while you're on the bridge, you just hose yourself and everybody else around you, because now it's roller derby time. Worst case scenario, you can always try to downshift your vehicle on an automatic. No, the transmission won't like it, but it's not like you do this every day. And if you want to slow down in a hurry, that's the best way to do it without hitting your brakes and locking them up. All-wheel drive does help some, four-wheel drive does help some, but the problem is with ice, it helps very little. Snow, obviously, much different scenario. I hear you, man. Jessica wants a recap. Aaron, you're on the north side of Oklahoma City. Yes. Kimberly, you're sweet. Question, cheer competition Tulsa Saturday. Will the snow be coming in? Yes, already in the morning. So it'll probably start late Friday night. But you're asking me a question. Today's Tuesday. So don't ask me 7 a.m. question on Saturday on a Tuesday at 10 p.m. I'm not going to be able to guarantee the exact time, but that's the ballpark. Doug, weather MVP, AT is the GOAT. Well, I don't know. Tom Brady's the GOAT, but I'll take second place. I'd like to cancel my subscription in winter. Justin, I'm with you. Chris, miss the snow totals for El Reno. Don't worry, those snow totals are going to change 100 times between now and then. Just know they'll be significant, and they'll be enough that you can see with your eyes and deal with later. Question, John says, it doesn't seem like the online forecasts are even on the same planet as your forecast. They are generally warmer with little snow. How can they be so wrong? Those forecasts are almost dangerous to people. Man, preaching to the choir. If everybody were to watch me, we wouldn't have this problem. Oh no, man! You're right. It's a lot out there. That's why you guys got to pick and choose who you want to follow and get your information from, because it is not all the same. If it was, then I wouldn't have a job, right? Because if I don't do any better than what's already out there, then what's the point? Yeah, you might want to stare at my face and happy smile, but outside of that, what good does that do you? So I do my best to give you the best I can do. As always, I'm very dedicated and very. I learned a lot, and I was a sponge. So I wanted to be the best at what I did, forecast-wise, and then everything else that kind of revolved around it in TV land, to the point where I'm here today. So it's persistence, it's dedication, it's the will to learn, it's the will to try something different, it's the lack of fear, it's the going out on a limb. And there are times where I've gone on a limb and it didn't work out very well, sure. But those times are a handful compared to all the other times where it was great, But it's the way it goes. Let's see. Steven must be late. He said, how the roads be in the morning? They should be icy. Let's see. Northwest Oklahoma. Okay. Yeah, for the most part, I still think you need to watch occasional spots, but most of the precipitation will be south of you. Kingfisher area for the next day or two. You're right on the cusp, so just be careful. Do you think local meteorologists secretly follow you? Kimberly, yeah, I do know that a lot of them do watch, and they look. I don't have time to watch them. There's too many. And I got way too much stuff to do. Plus, I don't want to hear really what they have to say because I don't want that in my head. I want to just do my own thing. Like, for example, even, and it's not a knock on the National Weather Service, but it was a time issue. So when I would work in the mornings, like I had to get up at 2 o'clock in the morning to go do a 5 o'clock show, right? So between waking up, getting ready, getting to work, getting the forecast together, you don't have a lot of time. So I would look at the National Weather Service area forecast discussion to see if there's anything I missed when I did my quick forecast. I spent about 30 minutes is all I needed. Because when you do it day in and day out, it's the same thing with a minor change. You don't really have to reassess everything from scratch, so you can get it done a lot faster. If it's really tough, I'd spend about an hour. But anyway, I would read what the Weather Service guy said just in case I missed anything, and that was back then. And then ever since I left television, I was like, I don't need that extra information. So I don't even know what they do or say half the time. And sometimes I pull up their graphic, I'm like, why did they do that? That doesn't make sense. That's not what I'm going for. And I'll differ with them, and that's fine. We're all meteorologists, so we all look at the different data and maybe interpret it differently. And then sometimes you have to just pick one way or the other and then see where the chips fall. Okay, so let's see. Do you think most businesses will close come tomorrow morning if they haven't? If I was the master key holder of all businesses, I would say close, but I'm not. They'll find out. Each person will wake up and make their own decision depending on where they live, because remember, not all places will be as bad as others. Jared says, preach. I missed it. Is it icing already in Ardmore? Yes, it is. Thanks to your forecast, I was able to get the heat lamps, draft dodgers, hot heads, etc. several days ago. Good deal, Kathy. I'm in Gainesville, driving north to Ardmore. You will encompass a little bit of a freezing drizzle on your route. My wife and I always listen to your forecast. Thanks. No offense. Hope you're wrong for once. Rude. Thanks, John. Aaron, will Plano be getting much precipitation down there? My daughter's down there. Yes. Looking at probably a quarter inch of ice over the period of both tonight and then more of it, though, into tomorrow night. Into Thursday morning. That's their bigger round. Patricia wants to know about spring already. Hard to say. I can tell you this, there'll be days with severe weather and there'll be days where there won't be. Jeanette got my errands done today. Gas tank topped off, outside faucets covered, and my pantry is full. You are on it. Now, I did not speak about this earlier. A lot of this stuff I sometimes tweet because it's easier to retweet. It takes less of my time and it's out there. So I'll pass along some helpful tips and stuff there. So that's why you should follow me in different platforms. But one of them was about faucets. So if things freeze over, keep your doors open, at night and during the day, so it keeps your pipes a little warmer, keeps them from cracking, splinting, or if you've got the old-fashioned pipes, from bursting and all that kind of stuff. And of course, your outside pipes for sure. Because once we get about 15 degrees, that's when things start to get nasty with the water situation. And we're definitely going to be there and below coming up. Let's see. Raina, Canada is mad you stole Jody. This is what we get. You know what? Joking aside, I actually pulled that same joke on Jody today. I really did. I said this was her fault. And I basically said something very similar to that, which is actually pretty funny. Not just the bridges and overpasses. I was driving up a mountain on 82 tonight. Woo! Yeah, I mean, listen, people who have big hilly driveways or, hills or something, man, I feel for you this type of weather. Idabel, Oklahoma, let me have it straight, buddy. John wants to know. You're on the cusp down there. Could be serious. Let's see. Planned trip to Branson on Friday. Will Missouri roads be bad? Yes, they will be. He had this question already. Yeah. I get a few of the same questions over and over. All right, so somebody wanted to recap. So we've wrapped this up a long time ago. It's been doing individual answers. So, all right. Without naming your specific town, I'm going to have to be more generic. So freezing drizzle's already developing. All right, it's already out there. That will continue overnight. It'll pick up in intensity overnight into tomorrow morning and then kind of taper off once we get past lunchtime tomorrow. That should mean an icy commute everywhere over central, southern, southeastern, and northeastern Oklahoma, and even out toward I-40 in western Oklahoma. The exception to that would probably be northwest Oklahoma and far northern Oklahoma. That looks fairly okay. Knock on wood. All right, that's about the only place I can see there being, not as big of an issue. So keep that in mind. So if you have to do any traveling, see if you can postpone it till the afternoon, maybe give time for the precipitation to end, and then start to kind of evaporate off the roads, because that's what's going to have to help that out. Then it repeats tomorrow evening, timing, late evening, so maybe 9 o'clock again, through Thursday at lunchtime. Same idea, same scenario, same locations, same problem. Now, during all of this, the highest icing amounts will be in southeast Oklahoma, up to about 1/4 of an inch. There are some hints there might be up to 1/2 inch in far eastern Oklahoma near the Arkansas border and some of those higher elevations terrain, so there could be some power outage issues out there. Otherwise, central up I-44 toward Tulsa, we're looking at 1/10 of an inch. This is more of just a road condition nightmare than it is a power out issue. Then we get snow on Saturday, and we get snow on Monday, and then I think it again on Wednesday. And then as far as how much, significant, but the exact number we don't know yet. Dallas, Fort Worth, a little bit of light icing tonight, especially northwest side of town. And then more of it tomorrow night into Thursday. It's your bigger round. You can get up to 1/4 of an inch of ice down there. So it could be some power outages there in the northeast Texas, or it could be a little heavier, up to 1/2 an inch of ice. And then Arkansas eastward is an ice storm warning because there's going to be a lot of ice out there. Okay, I think that was a good summary. And then you don't have to hear me tell you it's going to get cold and stay cold. That we already know. I guess that's it. Tell you what, so I may try to do another Facebook Live tomorrow at lunchtime. And again, tomorrow evening, so I'm trying to do 2 a day just to keep tabs on the latest trends and conditions, and so you guys know what's going on. And as always, thank you for sending me stars tonight. I appreciate that. It's a way you can, tip and thank your content creators on Facebook. They don't have that on YouTube, but they do have something else you can do. It's like some kind of tipping feature, and then super chat. Let's see. So Nikki got some hefty spout covers today. Just read your comment on YouTube. And then nothing on that one and that one. Okay, you know what? I'm going to look real quick, see if that American model came in all the way. far enough? See how far it took me. It did. Whoa. Are you serious? Oh. What? Alright, I gotta show you. Okay. This is the wind chill values on Sunday morning. Negative teens. And then what I was looking here a moment ago, wind chill values on Monday morning. Close to negative 30 up here in northern Oklahoma, Osage County. This is the winter. Minus 30. Oh, brutal. Okay, let's see what it did with the snow. We already know it's going to be cold, right? Let's get with the snow. So we'll see what the latest is. And this model has gone all over the place with snow. From a little to a lot, back to a little to a lot. All right, so let's go on to Saturday. All right, so it's Friday night, Saturday morning. Now that looks more reasonable. 1 to 2 inches the east side, and about 3 inches to maybe 4 on the west side of the state. Now I can go with that. Now that's finally something that I like to see. We go round 2 on Monday, Sunday night and a Monday, and this is only going to Monday morning, and now we've added another 4 inches. So Monday looks like a big one, according to the model. So Saturday's just enough to play with, and then on Monday, that's when the big amounts come in. And that's as far as the model goes right there. It's Monday morning. So that's before we even finish the day Monday. And that's before we even get to Wednesday. That's awesome. Oh, my goodness. I love this stuff, man. Seriously, forecasting this stuff is just fun. And then to see if it, watch it all to play out. Because, they have the fortune tellers, on TV. Miss Cleo, remember her? And all that was nonsense. That was just to rob you of your money. Here, I actually get to do that for real and watch it pan out. So it's just kind of neat to predict the future. I wish I could do that in all aspects of life. But only in the weather, though. All right, the other model I was looking at was the American model again for Saturday, but this is the newer version of that. The updated version, and it's similar on Saturday as the other one. About 1 to 2 inches of snow, pockets maybe of 3. So it's a little less, but still not bad. Decent snow event for Saturday. And then it's still coming in, so the newer data hasn't come in yet. But Sunday evening, it's got the secondary round starting to come in from western Oklahoma. So it's moving in a little earlier than, say, Monday morning, for example. Looks like about 12 hours earlier it should start. So that'll be our second round, and that one's just now coming in. So that's a look at those two models. And let's see, that one, got a few more hours on the old version of the American model. So that'll take us through Monday afternoon. So there you go, widespread across the state, 6, 7, 8 inches of snow. Now, the one that came in on Wednesday in prior data dumped at least another 5 inches. So that would bring this 8 to 13 inches of snow here. I say bring it. That's what I say. I said, why not? Let's do it, right? Okay, guys, listen, I gotta get out of here, but thanks for watching. And again, for all your support, both liking and sharing. I see you, Larry. My live videos, my website, my blogs, my weather app, AT's Weather to Go. You name it. So I appreciate it. Whatever and however you do it. I appreciate your support. You guys have a great night, and we will talk again soon. Sleep well, and be careful in the morning.